Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya also to literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. So today on Ekadashi we are reading from I'll Build You a Temple, the Juhu story. So this is the first time I've given a class on this from this wonderful book, and I was reading some of it. Such a wonderful service of His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj especially to the Juhu community, but to the whole ISKCON. And as we see from this book that the struggle that Srila Prabhupada had to make to establish this place, and he gave precedence to this temple. These deities were worshipped from practically, they were in a shed. They were being worshipped before Vrindavan, before Mayapur, before Hyderabad. So this shows the importance of this center. And to understand its history, we can understand its importance. So I will begin to read from where I was told we left off. Well, it wasn't so sure, the devotee that told me, but relatively sure. We live in a relative world. Om Jnanati Parandasya Ganam Jana Shrakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatirishatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So this is the chapter Facing Challenges. How many challenges were faced? From October 73 to January 77. Now we're in 1975, and this what we're reading at this point in time. The Birla family was famous for their religious interests as well as their business enterprises, with opulent Birla temples prominent in most major Indian cities. And Prabhupada took the opportunity to invite them and their friends to progress, to engaging in munificent transcendental activities. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, he said. He wished, especially Indians, to take this job of preaching the teachings of Bhagavad-gita all over the world. The mission is that they must be very, very merciful to all outsiders. That is India's mission. People are in darkness. Tamasi. Bring them into the light. Tamasi ma jyotirgama. This attempt has been done by us individually with teeny effort, but it is becoming successful. But every one of us should become completely aware of this movement and take this mission. So what is happening here is that Srila Prabhupada was coming and going from Mumbai, or it says here Bombay, that was the name at the time. names change, but the essence remains the same. So, so Srila Prabhupada had just come back a little time before, because finally, after so many struggles, he got the no objection certificate to be able to make a temple. There was one commissioner in the municipality that was putting so many obstacles out of vengeance. Such a wonderful quality, vengeance. And so he was doing everything he could to stop Srila Prabhupada. And even to the point where he instigated the police to arrest Srila Prabhupada. I mean, he said that he made up something that there was a security concern with ISKCON. Of course, that was also there. Even when Srila Prabhupada met with Indira Gandhi, one of the first things she said, because he was requesting a visa for 100 devotees, because there weren't that many Indian devotees. Actually, one time in Delhi, Pandal, Srila Prabhupada was on stage. Mostly there were Westerners, before so many devotees from India had joined. And there were a few sannyasis. So one man, when Prabhupada asked for questions, one man said, "Why are there no Indian sannyasis?" Prabhupada said, "Oh, you want to see Indian sannyasi?" He said, "Come here right now. I will give you sannyas." No. They said, "That is why." So, of course, now there's many more Indian sannyasis than any other, because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy and the mercy of the Vaishnavas spreading Krishna consciousness. Of course, we have to take care of it. Take care of the fact that our ISKCON movement is so big and popular. Even some people criticize us, but Prabhupada said, that is good. Prabhupada said, praise or criticize. If they say the name of Krishna, then this is auspicious. And of course, criticism sometimes is good because it makes us do better. It makes us correct whatever we need to correct. So, following Shikshastika, we should always have the humble mood. Of course, unnecessary criticism or criticism that is harmful to the movement, we must counter. But still, that criticism makes us more active. So, everything is arranged by Krishna. So anyway, so Indira Gandhi, one of the first things she said, how do you know that these young people are not CIA? One of the first things she said. Prabhupada said, they are vegetarian. They are sleeping on the floor. If they were CIA, they would be staying in 5-star hotel. And Prabhupada gave a whole list of what they're doing, but she didn't say any more. But still, people for many years, they had this conception. Even one time, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj told me he was in an airport, and one Western man came and sat down near him. And so the man looked at Prabhupada, and after a few minutes he said, so, you are from ISKCON? Prabhupada said, yes. But sometimes people think we are CIA. And the man said, I'm CIA, and sometimes people think I'm ISKCON. So, anyway, that was a big concern. It's natural that any country will be concerned about security. But real security, as Prahlad Maharaj says, real security is take shelter at the lotus feet of Nrsimhadev or SriSriRadha Krishna Sri Gornita. That is real security, because as Prahlad Maharaj said, you may have a great ship, Titanic, Queen Mary, big battleship, but it may go down. You may have the best doctor, but you may not survive. And you may have the best parents, but they cannot protect you. It's like a young child. No, if there's something happens, they will grab the mother or father's leg and think, I am secure. But we grab Krishna's lotus feet, and we know this is real security. So anyway, so Srila Prabhupada, he actually came back from Africa when he heard that Indira Gandhi was ready to meet him. But when in the meeting, Prabhupada immediately realized she will not help. Because the first thing she said was, no, I'm meeting you, but I don't have much time. I'm very concerned about my security. Someone may try to assassinate me. So Prabhupada said, he knew this was a token visit. This was not, she was not there to hear from Prabhupada. But Prabhupada said, at least she has some respect for sadhus. Maybe there's some hope. And she told Srila Prabhupada, yes, I will get these visas, but the visas never happened. And Prabhupada again and again tried, but it didn't happen. Wanted some special missionary visa. Prabhupada said, just like in USA, they have given me missionary visa. I can stay permanently. So why can we not give? These devotees have come to surrender and give their lives for preaching the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the whole idea, Prabhupada just had come back to Bombay, and one devotee had arranged this program at the request of Gopi Kumara Birla. She wanted Srila Prabhupada to come and speak because they were very, very pious, building temples. So Srila Prabhupada took advantage of this opportunity, and they had a huge property. At that time, the wealthiest family in India. Of course, you never know. Srila Prabhupada said that in India, there may be a calculation on Fortune 500 or Forbes, who are the richest people. But most of the wealthy families in India, they also have gold and diamonds and many things that will not lose their value. First we had gold, then silver, then paper, then plastic, and now digital. So, how can you protect digital? So many hackers. But if you have gold and you have diamond, but even better, as Srila Prabhupada said, real wealth, land, cows, and grains. If you have this, you're secure. In 1929, USA, the whole economy collapsed. Millions of people standing in line to get one bowl of soup. But the farmers, they were happy. They weren't suffering at all. Actually, they were working very hard to help the people. So this is our duty. And this is why Srila Prabhupada wanted us to have farm communities or devotee communities. Not that we build some land, we get some land and everybody builds a big house and comes on the weekend. But actually we go and we work the land. Because Prabhupada, not only did he see this as necessary to show people the prayojana, book distribution, preaching, this is abhideya. But prayojana, what do we want? We want them to see the value of varnashram. We want to see the value of living around the deity. ISKCON literally means we gather to glorify the deity. And so everyone living around the temple, children not having to be stuck in an apartment. They can run and play and develop nicely. They will be with their parents. Not that both parents have to go off and work and someone else is taking care of them. So this is advancement. When I was young, my mother never worked. No one's mother worked. I'm sure that Devakinandan, who also in the village, your mother did not work. mother took care of the children. This is natural. And now almost every mother has to work. Actually, after COVID, or during COVID, I saw one article. He said, now the women are in great anxiety. They have to take care of their children. Because there's no preschool. What will women do? They have to take care of their children. So this is advancement. No. So here Srila Prabhupada made this project, struggled. No. At one point, when Srila Prabhupada received a letter that that they said they will not give any permit for building, and no matter what, and they gave all these reasons. Prabhupada was in such anxiety he couldn't eat, he couldn't sleep, and 2 or 3 days later he came back. He stopped his whole preaching tour, came back. No. That's how concerned Srila Prabhupada was, and that example is how concerned we should be about this movement. Srila Prabhupada, I make this point many times, his most cherished activity, which he spent every night doing, was translating the Srimad Bhagavatam. But he even sacrificed that to some degree to keep this movement together. He would travel, he would preach, he would, actually translating the Bhagavatam was Srila Prabhupada's samadhi. But he had to constantly come out of that samadhi because devotees were very new. And Prabhupada was concerned that this movement will go on. Prabhupada, of course, he set up BBT so that even if the movement doesn't go on, books will be printed. But people will take the book seriously if they see the movement going on. Just like right now, in most Western countries, ISKCON, nobody knows what is ISKCON. Maybe a few people, a few politicians may come and to one of our activities. But here in India, everybody knows ISKCON. And we have to be very careful to protect that wonderful effort, which is the fruit of Srila Prabhupada's sacrifice that he made here. There was no place, even New York, Prabhupada sacrificed for, a year and a half. Great sacrifice. Living with uncultured, unclean persons, and having to walk over the drunkards to get up to his apartment. No. But that was for Prabhupada. How many years did Prabhupada spend? Practically 5 years of constant anxiety, coming back, having to come back again and again. That's how important this place was. And all of that sacrifice, and the sacrifice that the devotees went to. Just like when Ambarish Prabhu came here for the first time, he was a brahmachari. And when he came, as it was written here, the devotees said, we saw this brahmachari, but he had hair. What is this? So, they asked Srila Prabhupada, why does this brahmachari have hair? He said, I have instructed him. And so, and he came, and so Prabhupada, he brought him because he's forward. This name would be able to attract some big people. So he sent him out with Giriraj Prabhu at that time. And Giri was very strict. He would not take even juice outside the temple. And Ambarish was saying, please, can we take some juice? Can we get some peanut? Can we have something? No, this is Maya. And finally he broke down and gave him a juice. And then he got sick. And he said, Ambarish Prabhu said, every time I saw an airplane flying overhead, I was thinking, I want to be on that airplane. And then later, Giriraj Prabhu, of course, he wrote in this book, Giriraj Swami, I realized how much agony I put him through. I should have been sensitive. This is part of preaching. And all of us are, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire, as it says here, we just read, that Srila Prabhupada wanted to encourage the Indian to go and preach Krishna consciousness. Amara Gyaya Guru Hanya Tarayedesh. So Srila Prabhupada said, when he quoted this, here in Juhu, he quoted this verse, that Jaritaka Tarikaha Krishna Padesh Amara Gyaya Guru Hatan. So Prabhupada said, to your capacity, you preach to some individual. You preach to your neighbors. You preach to your community. You preach to your town. You preach to your district. Or he was saying this during Sannyas initiation of Navayogendra Swami. Or you preach to the whole world. But to your capacity. Whatever your capacity is, go to your maximum capacity for Krishna. This is what surrender means. Whatever your maximum capacity. Just like Sutta Goswami, he said, Aham hi pistor yavanan bhavadbhir. That all of you, he was saying, all of you great sages, you are much greater than me. But you're asking me. You're asking me to speak this Bhagavatam. Achakshe atma bhagamota yavan. So I will do it to the best of my ability. Nabha patant yatma samam patitrinas. Just like birds, they fly according to their capacity. So, Vata saman Vishnu gatim vipaschitaha. So one should speak about Vishnu according to one's capacity. And we should worship Krishna. We should serve Krishna according to our capacity. But be careful not to limit your capacity. You have limitation. But take it to the highest degree, and then Krishna will allow you to go beyond that limitation, to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. So Srila Prabhupada explained that all of us must become guru. In that particular section of Bhagavatam, one verse I like to repeat, about Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Ateva ami agya dilun sabakare jahan tahan prema pala deha jaritari. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I order everyone within the universe. That includes all of you and everyone else. But all of you have a special blessing. Although some people may not see it as a blessing. Preachers will see it as a blessing. But if you're trying to be comfortable, you may not see it as a blessing. That everyone take these fruits of love of Godhead and distribute them to everyone. So those fruits of love of Godhead have manifested physically, although they're not really physical, but they have a physical form of Srila Prabhupada's books. And we take these fruits and other fruits, prasadam, and other fruit, the holy name. So we take these fruits and we distribute them. This is everyone's duty. Just like Prabhupada spoke that verse through Kurma Brahman. And because Kurma Brahman wanted to join the Sankirtan party. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you preach to your neighbors. And so why did he do that? He could have said, yes, join me. But then everyone would have an excuse. All of you, or not all of you, but many of you who you have family and, responsibility, say, oh, I can't join this Sankirtan movement. So therefore, he told Kurma Brahman, no, there is no excuse. You preach to your neighbor. If you live in an apartment building, you have so many neighbors, right? Just a few yards away, a few meters away. So you have so many neighbors to preach to. If you live in a village, you may have not so many neighbors. But so the point is that this is what Srila Prabhupada, he came to give this program to encourage these people. So what did he preach to them in this program with the Birlas? He said that the supreme spiritual energy is Srimati Radharani, and the supreme material energy is Durga. He said, so you must choose what energy you will take shelter of. There's no other option. It's not like Radharani, Durga, Trump, this or that. No, it's not. There's no other option. There's two options. And so Prabhupada is making this point. And then at the end of the lecture, he asked for questions. No one raised their hand. And then Prabhupada looked at Giriraj Prabhu, and he said, actually, it's very important to ask questions so that you thoroughly understand the subject matter. There's still no hand. And afterwards, Prabhupada said, they were not interested. No, simply formality. But he said, at least they heard. And they were kind. And then they invited Srila Prabhupada. I think that's coming up, so I won't. So anyway, so Prabhupada was preaching. And Prabhupada challenged his audience. Krishna said, you just offer me a little flour and water. If you think we have got money, and the money is for my enjoyment, and Krishna may be offered a little water and flour. No, it sounds like logical. This is what Krishna asked for. I'll give him nice flowers. I'll give him a bouquet. I'll give him a garland. No. Prabhupada said, this is cheating. That is not good. According to your position, you must worship. This is wanted. To become very big businessman is not an ordinary thing. It requires tapasya, very great labor, brain, yat tapasyasi. But the result, Krishna says, Kurishva madharpanam. He's asking, give it to me. So there is no harm in becoming a very big businessman, earning money. That is all right. But you give it to Krishna. Then in any position, you can remain Krishna conscious. And if you remain Krishna conscious, then you will understand Krishna. Okay. Here, I already said this, but anyway. So at the end of the talk, Srila Prabhupada asked several times for questions, but got no response. I, meaning Giriraj Maharaj, addressed the audience. The process of hearing and then asking questions is a way to clarify our understanding, just like Krishna and Arjuna. So actually, we must have some questions in our minds. Otherwise, we would all immediately surrender to Krishna. So he was mildly chastising them or giving them a challenge. Are you surrendered to Krishna? No. Otherwise, you should be asking questions. Yes, Prabhupada said, either you surrender to Krishna or clear it up by question. Still, there was no response. So I ended the talk while other devotees showed a film on the lawn. Prabhupada and a small group of us were invited inside to have dinner. Ashok Birla, who had donated 3 lakhs of rupees for construction of the ISKCON Vrindavan temple, expressed his happiness with the evening's program, but he didn't offer 3 lakhs. Then Mrs. Birla and her brother-in-law and Prabhupada's friend, Birajtan Mohata, led us upstairs in a lift to the large, beautifully furnished dining room. When Mrs. Birla offered Prabhupada prasadam, he refused. My heart sank because I feared that he might offend her by not accepting dinner and create an awkward situation. So here Giriraj Prabhu is doubting Srila Prabhupada. Just like when the 5 sons of the Brahmin in Dwarka were left their body, and the Brahmin complained, and he chastised Ugrasena, saying, "What kind of king are you? My children are dying before me." And Arjuna came up and said, "Don't worry, I will protect you." And Raman laughed. He said, "Here's Krishna and Balaram, and you will protect me?" No. Arjuna should have understood, but he said, "I have Shiva Dwara. I have this weapon, this Pashupato special kavacha. He chanted and covered the whole house with the kavacha. And then not only did the boy die, but he disappeared. So we can't doubt. We can't doubt the Supreme Personality of Godhead or His representative. But he was doubting. She again offered, and again he declined. I imagine his heart was sinking further, maybe into his stomach. Finally, the third time he accepted. And I could see from the smiles on everyone's faces that they had both been playing their parts perfectly. She as a gracious hostess, and he as a renounced sannyasi. Indian culture was so subtle and elevated. Sitting at the head of a long, polished mahogany table, Prabhupada chatted with his hosts, complimenting them on the delicious meal and answering a variety of questions. After a cordial departure, we arrived back at the temple around 11 o'clock. It was a successful preaching engagement, but Prabhupada said to me that no questions were asked after the lecture indicated a lack of interest on the part of the guests. Well, sometimes we may be giving a lecture and people start to get up and go. Of course, then one may think, maybe I better practice more in my preaching. But sometimes that happens anyway. Just like I always tell devotees in Rath Yatras or big program, here in India it's a little different, but the West, I tell them, don't do anything for more than 5 minutes, because otherwise it's a moving crowd. You have to keep their attention. And even here I've seen it. If you have a long bhajan, then of course people are more pious, the more people will stay, but some people will leave. And you have a long play that many people don't understand, or they can't hear it properly. And so I've seen this again and again, that in a public program, you have to have one thing after another. This will keep everyone's interest. People will think, what's next? This was very good. What's next? But a long play, when they're walking by, that may not catch their attention. The next morning, on his walk on Juhu beach, he commented, "Last night I explained at the Birla house that you have to change only your care of," meaning who's caring for you. "Now we are under the care of the material energy, and you have to transfer yourself under the care of spiritual energy." So sometimes Prabhupada would do this, or something, maybe any preacher. You want to emphasize the point, because generally speaking, when we speak, it's not that everyone captures every point. Lack of memory, lack of interest, lack of intelligence, lack of something. We may not capture everything. So, especially Prabhupada, many times. Of course, I only went on two morning walks, so I don't know, but I was told many times he would repeat what he spoke the night before, so that at least if the audience didn't understand, the devotees would understand. So this is a very important thing. And again, this is the purpose of having question. So on December 24th, by invitation of the king, Prabhupada went to Sanand, Gujarat for a week of program. So This is a very important thing. 4 days later, Om Prakash Dhir came to the temple for the Sunday program. He was the chief engineer of ECC, the Engineering and Construction and Contacts, a division of Larsen and Toubro. Earlier, he had invited Dhira Santa home for dinner and become a life member. And Dhira Santa had informed him about the construction on Hare Krishna land and invited him for the Sunday celebration. The construction site was near our temple shed, and after the feast, he took a look. He was appalled by the miserable work and quite concerned. We have to do something about it, Prabhupada had told me. You have to do something. He didn't want to directly challenge or oppose or discourage Saurabha, but he did want change. He had spoken to me about the Vrindavan guest house, how poor the work was. The plumbing was bad. The plaster was cracking. This was bad. That was bad. And he didn't want anything similar to happen in Bombay. Yes, I had said, appreciating his concern, if this happens in Bombay, it will be very troublesome. Not troublesome, Prabhupada had replied, everything will be spoiled. So again, Srila Prabhupada's concern that this temple, actually Vrindavan, there were many mistakes made in the original construction, especially the guest house, and because it was done very quickly, because Prabhupada had invited everyone, all these big people, his godbrothers, to come for the opening. And he wanted it to happen. And on the date that was prescribed. And so, just a few months before, Srila Prabhupada came to Vrindavan, and they had just finished, they didn't finish, but they just had his room ready. And Prabhupada came to that room. It was big by Prabhupada's calculation. And Prabhupada said, why have you made this so big? Because Prabhupada was thinking, in Vrindavan, people will criticize that. Of course, he had big Bhagavat Manor, he had big room and another room and another room. But that was the West. So Prabhupada was concerned that in Vrindavan, some people would criticize. But the devotees said, Srila Prabhupada, you are the guru of the whole world. You're taking Krishna consciousness everywhere. People must see your importance by having this room. And Prabhupada ultimately accepted. He said the devotees were convincing Prabhupada. Prabhupada's humility. Sometimes it seemed like Prabhupada, you couldn't see the humility. In one sense, when Prabhupada spoke to the devotees here in Juhu, he said, so people should see our success. He was speaking about, before seeing Indira Gandhi, what he would say. He said, I came to the West with 40 rupees, now I have 40 crores. He said, how many people can do this? He said, I think this is the most successful business that the world has ever seen. In just a few years, from 40 rupees to 40 crores. So Prabhupada, it sounded like Prabhupada was, where is the humility? But Prabhupada was showing that how Krishna will empower us if we're actually sincere, if we're actually, of course, he may not empower us immediately. He did not empower Srila Prabhupada immediately because Krishna takes his topmost pure devotees and he makes them an example. If Prabhupada would have, just like one devotee said to me, if Prabhupada would have come to the West in a big first-class seat on an airplane and arrived at big lecture halls like other Swamis had done. Then yes, many people would come and hear, but probably, what did he call that? Armchair philosophy. Everyone will come, dress nicely, and hear, yes, Swami, the Swami is very nice. Even when Srila Prabhupada originally arrived in New York, when he began to speak, and his host was becoming concerned. People are becoming interested in his philosophy. I just want him to come, his Dr. Misra. I just want him to come and chant a little. Then finally he said, Swamiji, you can't lecture anymore. You can only chant. Your chanting is very nice. It brings people. But when you're speaking, people will surrender to you. And then I'll lose my business. This was also happening when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his Sankirtan movement and before. That the Brahmins were saying that the Muslims will come and disturb us. But actually they were the disturbance. Because they could see that Haridas Thakur and Advaita Acharya, they were preaching and people were listening. And Haridas was saying, just chant the holy name. You don't need anything else. So all the Brahmins were concerned. They had a nice business. You give this many rupees, we'll give you this mantra. The biggest business was that if a Muslim touched you or would spit water on you, then you lost your caste. So then it was a big charge. They would say, people would ask, how can I be purified? Say, oh, you have to take this mantra. It will throw so many rupees. Well, what if I don't have so many rupees? Then you must drink a liter of boiling ghee. So that's not very appealing. And then they say, I can't do that. Then you must take the mantra. It's big business. Maybe some of these Brahmins even hired the Muslims, go around, please throw some water on the people, spit on the people, and send them to me. So anyway, this was a big concern. And so Srila Prabhupada had to face these challenges again and again, that the construction was not being done properly. And then these men, they said, we should construct something that will last for hundreds of years. They actually were inspired by Srila Prabhupada. We want to do something that will last for thousands of years. This is coming up. So this was Srila Prabhupada's every detail. In the West, Srila Prabhupada would not interfere so much with the management. He allowed the devotees to grow according to their ability. But in India, Srila Prabhupada looked into every detail, because previous to all of this, when the first constructions began, they discovered everybody was cheating. The contractor and the person who was selling, everybody, they had a mafia. And every night they would take cement and then throw it over this wall into another property. And then people would carry off all these building materials, bricks and cement and everything, wood, everything was being carried away. And finally, Srila Prabhupada discovered. And then Srila Prabhupada was very, very vigilant. And he told all the devotees to be so vigilant. So this is happening again. When Mr. Deere said the work was poor, however, I had to inquire further. Is it really that bad? I asked, what do you mean? The construction is the typical substandard work going on in Bombay, he said. Within 2 or 3 years, this type of work starts falling apart. ISKCON is a great institution. This temple should be a monument that will last for hundreds for thousands of years. He explained that ECC, the leading construction firm in India, didn't usually take up anything involving less than several crores. He described some of the work he had done, dams, bridges, or other major civil projects. But he said that he would speak to the directors and try to persuade them to take up our project, even though it would be much smaller than most of their jobs. It was different. It was for Krishna. And it would be prestigious, a prestigious job for the company. I immediately wrote for Srila Prabhupada. So I'll read this letter and we'll stop here. Today, one of our life members came to spend a day at the Hare Krishna land. His name is Mr. O.P. Deer, Chief Engineer of Larsen and Toubro Limited, the largest construction firm in Bombay. Mr. Deer is presently undertaking the construction of the new council hall for the government of Maharashtra, as well as the new stock exchange building, which will be the tallest building in Bombay. Mr. Deer inspected the site and expressed his opinion that if the work continues in the present manner, the building will not stand. He said the present workmen are obviously accustomed to a very low standard of work, and he particularly criticized the shuttering and casting. He said that the present structural defects would render the entire building defective in the end. I asked if his company would be willing to take up the project, and he replied that they might not be willing, but he could request them. He said that Larsen and Toubro had consented to build an important building in Auroville, and that he hoped he would be able to convince them to take up our work also. In order to maintain a high standard of workmanship throughout the building, he said his company would like to supply materials after consulting our architect on the rates to be paid for the materials. He said the company would probably work for cost plus 5%. He seems very sincere and sober, so I suggested that he meet your divine grace and Gopal Krishna Prabhu when you return to Bombay. Mr. Deer is also going to think of alternative solutions in the event that his company does not agree. So we'll stop here. So I just wanted to make a couple points that these devotees, of course, all of you are sacrificing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Sunday morning, you could be sleeping. No. Just like we took a walk on the beach this morning, and people were, we were just getting up, and they were just going to, otherwise they were just ending their day, and we were beginning our day, as Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita. And what is night for them is day for us, and what is day for us is night for them. So, all of you are here. Some of you are studying, some are work, some have family, but you're making this sacrifice. But these devotees here in Mumbai, starting Vrindavan, starting Mayapur, just like Malati Devi, she was cooking. Many of you ladies are cooks. Some of you devotees also cooks. She was living in a tent and cooking on wood fire with one pot, maybe two pots, on a wood fire outside, and making, 6, 7, or 8 preparations for Srila Prabhupada. And you had to keep them all hot. So she would put them around the fire. As she finished one, she would put it around the fire so that it would stay warm. So she was thinking that, this is a great sacrifice. And one day, Srila Prabhupada said, there is not enough salt. And she offered obeisance. She's thinking, I'm not expert. I'm offending Srila Prabhupada. So she decided I'm going to go speak with Srila Prabhupada and tell him maybe he should get someone else. I'm not qualified. So she went in, and Prabhupada said that my godbrothers are coming. I want you to cook for all of them. She thought, I can't even do it right for Prabhupada. And she everyone had heard how some of the godbrothers were a little bit critical of Srila Prabhupada. Some were very critical, and all were very critical of the Westerners. So she cooked. They came the next day, and she came in to the Prabhupada's little hut. She saw the sannyasis, big sannyasis, many of them older godbrothers of Srila Prabhupada. She's like, just crawled in and like pushed the plates to them. And Prabhupada saw that they were not taking. Otherwise, they were thinking, this is mlecha cooking. No. So they were not taking. And Prabhupada said that she has sacrificed everything for me. She would die for me, and I would die for her. And when they heard that, they looked at each other and started taking. So this is the sacrifice that the devotees made. And here, police attacking, people coming, tearing down the temple. When they tore down the temple, there was just a frame left, and the deities, little, not even a hut, just a little, like roof with walls, and Rasbihari is standing there. Imagine the deities watching these people tear down their temple. And devotees were crying, and you can imagine what something like that would be like. And Srila Prabhupada, after that happened, he gave a lecture, and he said, we must tolerate. Tunadabi sunichena torodiva sishnuna. That what can we do? We must be humble and tolerate, but we must go on. Do not think. At the end of this whole episode, once they had all the permission and everything was going on, the devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, you had to suffer so much. We're so sorry. Prabhupada said, oh no, it was a good fight. No. This is the move. Another time Srila Prabhupada said, fight, fight, fight. We must fight. No. And I said, what is the problem? Krishna was fighting from 3 months old until the end. So we must fight. So this was Srila Prabhupada's move. So any of us, whatever our position must be, we should be very grateful to all those Vaishnavas who have made so much sacrifice so that we can come here to a big, beautiful temple and we can worship. Everything's going on so nicely. And there is prasadam and all facility. Certainly we're doing some sacrifice. But we look at what we're getting and what is really the nature of any of our sacrifice. As Dhruva Maharaj said, that Stanabilasi tapasi stito ham tvam praptavam devamunindra guyam. That I had done so many sacrifices that even the demigods, anyone could not do. But then, kacham bachinman api divya ratna. But then I realized that everything I had done compared to getting the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just like broken glass compared to the transcendental jewel of the lotus feet and the lotus feet of the deity, of course, Vishnu. So I want no blessing. I want no benefit. I simply want this service. So this should be our attitude. We are so blessed. See these deities. Srila Prabhupada said that people are telling me, and this is when RadhaRasbihari was just in a shed, that there are no deities in all of Bombay that are this beautiful, that are being worshipped in this way. And we can see that. I've been to temples, and many of us have been to temples, many of you all over India. You will never see anything like our temples. You'll never see the deities dressed like this and the care going. We see some temples in Vrindavan, many places, a nice worship is going on, but nothing like this. No, nothing like this. Now there are bigger temples in Vrindavan, Prem Mandir. So many people go, but then they come to see the beautiful deities and Krishna Balaram Mandir. So this is what Srila Prabhupada gave us. Not only this big, beautiful temple, but the quality of devotional service. And this is something that we must take into our hearts and always increase the quality of our service so that more and more people will come to Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop here. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. Any comment, any question? Diviginanda Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your explanation. I just wanted to explain about the Prabhupada mercy. On Ashok Birla, you gave the name Mr. Dhir and Brijratan Mohta. I was cultivating Ashok Birla. Anybody who is in Bombay, from Bombay, his office was in Dalmal House, first floor, second floor, third floor. And whenever we meet, first 20 minutes, he will talk about Prabhupada. He himself will talk, and then he will hear. And his wife Sunanda, she cooked for Prabhupada, so she was also, very happy to talk about Prabhupada. Unfortunately, they died in plane crash to Bangalore, both husband and wife. But their son, Jas Birla, he is still connected to ISKCON. He got Chapati, he also donated. So that's Prabhupada's mercy. Jas was a small boy that day. Then Brijratan Mohta. Prabhupada had two friends. Both were brother-in-law of Ashok Birla. Brijratan Mohta and MP Maheshwari. So once Brijratan Mohta went to Los Angeles, he was staying in a hotel, and Prabhupada had sent devotee to go and bring him evening, and he made devotee to cook in middle of night. It in Prabhupada Lamrit also, in middle of night. And Brijratan Mohta and MP Maheshwari used to come every Sunday without fail to meet Giriraj Maharaj. And I was Giriraj assistant those days. So Brijratan Mohta's son, Virendra Mohta, is still connected to us. Ramarup Prabhu support to cultivate him, but nobody goes, but I am connected. His brother-in-law, SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple, was our chairman of committee here in Juhu last year. So I was just saying Prabhupada mercy. Same way when you are building second phase, as you rightly said or read, that Larsen and Toubro will not take any contract less than certain amount. And that time when we are building this one in 2023 to 2003, that time they wouldn't take any contract less than 100 crore. And our project was only 40 crore. So they had refused, and we wanted L&T to construct. Then Mr. Bhargava, who was the founder, managing director of ICICI, he was still vice chairman of committee, and he was in the board of Larsen and Toubro. So he brought Mr. Dhir, and Dhir insisted upon whoever was chairman of Larsen and Toubro those days that we build this temple So this is part of temple. We must build. Our project only 40 crore, but they were not ready. So finally they accepted it to build. But because of Mr. Dhir they accepted, not willingly they accepted. So, they were not doing their proper job. The people were not doing proper job. So finally we had to say goodbye to them, and we got other company, Leak Proof, to build the second phase. Now we are saying the Prabhupada mercy from Ashok Birla family is still connected to ISKCON, and Aditya Birla family did not get connected. That other story, Jasamatananda Prabhu used to say that Prabhupada was staying in Akash Ganga, and they used to go for morning walk, and once, B.K. Birla's brother-in-law and son-in-law, Aditya Birla's brother-in-law, he was in Bombay and they were going morning walk. So Ramakrishna Bajaj, who was also walking with Prabhupada, those days all the rich people, they used to walk with Prabhupada, meet with Prabhupada. So, Ramakrishna Bajaj told B.K. Birla, a Swamiji has come, very good preaching he had done in America, let us go and meet him. So B.K. Birla said, no. This Swamiji, when you go, they say Birla name, they will ask for money. So, Ramakrishna Bajaj was telling to Prabhupada, this was Jasamatananda Prabhu told us, and Prabhupada said, look at this rich people. There was a Bali Maharaj. Vaman Dev asked only 3 steps and he got very angry. You are insulting. And this man, so unfortunate, he is afraid that I will ask money from him. Mm-hmm. So, I was just talking about Ashok Birla family. So, still connected, Prabhupada mercy. Same way, Bridgerton Mohta family connected. And same way, Mr. Dhir, who got the contract for us. So Prabhupada mercy has no boundary, and still his mercy is there that we are surviving, we are here. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. Very nicely you have enlightened us by Prabhupada pastimes. So, as you mentioned that during Prabhupada times, Prabhupada disciples and followers are so much dedicated their life, so much sacrifice for Srila Prabhupada. Just for one instruction of Srila Prabhupada, they are ready to go anywhere, even though there was no any facilities there that times. But nowadays we have so many facilities available. We can easily get everything here. But nowadays, for myself, I am not so much dedicated or taking the things as a granted. So how I shall cultivate the mood that to some extent degree, I should also dedicate myself, determination to develop for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. If you enlighten some point.
Srila Prabhupada sacrificed so much, and that inspired the devotees to sacrifice. So those devotees who have sacrificed so much, they will inspire the devotees, the newer devotees, to sacrifice. And that is, precept is greater than prachar. Otherwise, when you see someone, in the beginning, most young people could not even understand Prabhupada what he was saying, but they saw his sacrifice, how every day he would cook, even without, he didn't tell everybody to cook, and then he would supervise. So, what can we do? We can, just what we're doing, we hear and we see all of Srila Prabhupada's sacrifice, all of Srila Prabhupada's purity, and it's by association, either hearing through association or association directly, that inspires us to do more. But just like there are so many brahmacharis and wonderful devotees, and even during the marathon, so many congregational members that are going out in the busy streets of Mumbai or Delhi, breathing the not so good air, just to give books. So all of this, why do we do that? Because of Srila Prabhupada's sacrifice, the sacrifice of our parampara. Everything was sacrificed. The Pandavas had to sacrifice. So this is the tapasya. The tapasya is accepting a difficult situation. Not that we go off and we do some stand on one leg like Hiranyakashipu, but we accept the responsibility for continuing the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give Krishna consciousness to others, to our ability, to the best of our ability, according to our circumstance.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
I agree.
Maharaj, you mentioned that how Prabhupada even sacrificed his samadhi of translating Srimad Bhagavatam to keep the movement together. This ISKCON should go on where some problems were there. So, as individual followers of Srila Prabhupada, what we should take care that it should continue like this, not broke down in bits and pieces. So, what we should take care, what is our contribution that it continue?
Well, you just said it. We should do, this is what we should do. Otherwise, the main thing that Srila Prabhupada would emphasize, which he emphasized to the Birlas, that do this for Krishna. If you're wealthy or if you have nothing, but whatever you do, do it for Krishna. Otherwise, Prabhupada was basically saying what it says in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, that if someone has wealth, they should build a temple. That's what the Bhagavatam says. That so if we have wealth, we use it for Krishna. If we have intelligence, just like in the Bhagavatam and repeated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that prayar artar diya vacha shreya acharanam sada, that you should give your life. If you can't give your life, give your wealth. If you don't have wealth, give your intelligence. And Prabhupada said, if you have no intelligence, chant Hare Krishna. Give your words. Make whatever you can give it to the fullest extent without any desire for personal gain. This is the perfection. Whatever, Ramananda Roy, he didn't do this kind of sacrifice. He was an eternal associate who came to interchange with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was so fortunate that Prataparudra said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants you to come to Puri. You go there and you will have full salary for the rest of your life. We could use some Prataparudras, in our society, tell everyone, just go serve the temple and you'll get full salary. Then our Sankirtan movement could really take off. So, therefore Srila Prabhupada said, preach to the leaders of society. Change them. Then everyone will follow. And they will facilitate. Just like we see here in India, so many wealthy people are facilitating our movement. Because they can see the result. So even so many devotees here in a festival or any day, but especially some festival, when people see this, they want to be part of it. They want to be part of it. Everyone wants to be successful. And especially people who don't understand Krishna consciously. So when they see this is success, then Srila Prabhupada knew how to preach. Prabhupada said, personally, we would rather be sitting on the banks of the Ganga or Yamuna chanting Hare Krishna. Not in big cities, living in these crowded conditions. But this is where the people are. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that a sannyasi should preach in the jungle. But the biggest jungles nowadays are the big cities. The most dangerous animals live in these cities. The envious human being is the most dangerous animal. So we go to and live amongst the most dangerous animals and preach Krishna consciousness. No. So it's past time now. We'll stop here. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple ki jai. ISKCON Juhu Yatra ki jai. Jai Gaura Premanandi.